open that page, I'll search for my fix, find what I need in the deep dark abyss.
Hello and welcome to another episode of AI Skeptics Podcast. I'm sneaking in a podcast while I'm visiting Tucson Resort, as I'm a part of this weird secret society called Dialogue, which maybe we'll talk about in a different episode. But since I just got here, I have no gossip yet. Jake and Tom Adams are with us, as Jake is always with us. Tom is often with us.
Thanks for calling in Front Lines Cast.
Yeah. Fun stuff. We are really looking forward to this week because we're going to talk about, the general idea is rich people. So the first topic, which I really enjoy, is like coming from this Atlantic article. It was written by a guy who was invited to Jeff Bezos' yearly party. And Jake, what's the second topic today?
The second topic is a manifesto from Alex Karp, the head of Palantir. And he's laid out a new vision of hell for us to discuss.
And Tom, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about AI hallucinations in legal filings.
Yeah. So that's not exactly about rich people, but it certainly has a lot to do with rich people. So let's just dig in here. So there was this amazing article in The Atlantic, which I subscribe to now, and I really enjoy a lot of the things that they have about, this guy. I think he's a director. I think he directed Fargo, the TV series, not the movie.
Which is very good.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things. I actually found the Coen Brothers movie too good, honestly. Like, it was so good that I started identifying with the husband and I just couldn't handle it. It was and also the acting was too good. I was like objecting on principle, like, you can't make something this realistic and this gory. So I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things. And so he was invited to Jeff Bezos' party, and he just described sort of the ethics or the lack of ethics of like super duper rich people in such a articulate way, but also like it's so resonated with me, having worked at a hedge fund and seen kind of really rich people up close, in particular David Shaw, because I worked at D.E. Shaw, the hedge fund, and like talking to the people he would hire to practice, to like literally sleep in mattresses for him to see if, and to take notes. By the way, these were people who had PhDs in English. He would like make them test his mattresses. He would make people go on a trip a week before him and do exactly the same itinerary just to make sure nothing went wrong. Like, it was just like people with not only too much money, but also just like no ability to go with the flow. Like, there's just like no static was allowed in their life. So this article describes this extremely well. I couldn't believe how perfectly his take was. What did you guys think of the article?
Yeah, I was amazed. The article opens and closes with a reference to another Too Good movie, There Will Be Blood, and how the protagonist, or Daniel Day-Lewis' character, beats the other guy to death with a bowling pin, right? And then he's like, "I'm finished." And the author of this article is saying, well, what's he finished with? He's finished with any connection to other people or social consequences or feedback. And I thought that was a great comparison. It really, I don't have as much up close and personal experience with the ultra rich to say whether it resonates like on a personal level, but it certainly resonated strongly with this, interview I heard recently with Elon Musk, where he's talking about his plans and what he's excited about. And like, it has zero to do with other people. Other people are nowhere to be found in those interests or concerns at all. So that part squared up for me.
I thought the most interesting thing was that at the end of the author's visit to this camp, he encountered Bezos and mentioned that his wife had broken her arm that morning, and Bezos made a face and was whisked away, unable to process that something somebody would say something negative to him. The whole reason he was there was to be complimented. Bezos was there to be complimented, and the author was there to provide those compliments along with the other 79 people. And that resonated with me. Like everybody in the article kept saying, well, I'm not sure why I'm here. Why am I here? And the answer was to tell Bezos how wonderful he was for doing this. And that's it. That's what people are there for.
Thanks, Tom, for that. Because it's like when again, going back to the D.E. Shaw experience I had, it wasn't just David Shaw, but a lot of the other people that had been there a long time. They all had that same characteristic, that they had gotten at some point surrounded by people who just didn't disagree with them. They were all working for them. And the exception was their own children. Their children were like a constant source of heartache to them because their children didn't get the memo that everything they said was brilliant. And they just couldn't understand why their children weren't living up to expectations. And it just sounded like a terrible, terrible situation. Also, the author, by the way, we should look up the name of this author because I'm so bad with names, but it's embarrassing that none of us have mentioned him. And he quotes both Elon Musk, to your point, Tom, and also Peter Thiel in ways that I think are right on. So with Elon Musk's sort of famous quote of his is empathy is weakness. Empathy is the weakness of Western civilization or something. He really downplays the role of empathy, which is very self-serving. He doesn't have empathy.
Except for him. We should have empathy for him, obviously, because he's constantly complaining about unfairness,
of course.
We're all supposed to be empathetic.
Well, to be clear, what's interesting is that these very rich men, Trump included, don't display empathy for most other people, but they sometimes, not always, display empathy for each other. I don't know if you guys noticed that. The only people that you ever hear Trump empathize with are people like the Roger Ailes type. Oh, that guy got a bum rap, I don't know why. Didn't think he was entitled to all the terrible things he did,
In his manifesto, Trump is going to say we should be empathize with Musk, because he's got big ideas. So yes, agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was just going to say a sidetrack. I remember in The Sopranos, Tony Soprano became enamored with the geese or the ducks in his pool, and his psychiatrist was trying to explain to him that that's because you're a sociopath. You don't care about other humans. You project feelings onto animals instead of onto actual humans in your life. And it's a coping mechanism for sociopaths. And
interesting. I just saw that again, Tom, and I think that was a little bit ambiguous.
It was ambiguous.
The beauty of The Sopranos is that they didn't play it too on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
to the point about empathy, though, Tom, you just described that scene that he has in it. Do we know his name yet, by the way?
Yeah, Noah Hawley.
Noah Hawley. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Noah, for your great article.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. He was specifically describing how Jeff Bezos has forgotten how to have empathy, if he ever knew. And honestly, he at some point in his background was a mathematician, which, and most mathematicians are a little bit autistic anyway, so it's not clear that autistic people are the best at empathy. But so I don't know where he started, but let's put it this way, he's not practiced in the art of empathy at this point. But the other quote that Noah has in the article, which I think he nailed so hard that I had to copy it and send it to you guys as soon as it happened, was Peter Thiel's famous quote, which was that he has recently figured out that that democracy and freedom are incompatible. Now, this means a lot to us as Americans because Peter Thiel owns JD Vance. He's really the guy that pushed JD Vance to success and got him rich and all that stuff, and still really has a huge amount of influence on him. I think that's one of the reasons we see so little AI regulation at the federal level, because Peter Thiel doesn't want that, That's one of the reasons I think J.D. Vance went to France and announced the end of the EU AI Act when he did, like 2 weeks after the inauguration. But Peter Thiel saying that democracy and freedom are incompatible was just always chilling, but also flabbergasting to me. Like, I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, that is, of course, the only way the average person could have freedom is through democracy. And then like Noah in this article is like, when Peter Thiel says democracy and freedom are incompatible, he's not talking about your freedom. He's talking about his freedom. And I can't believe I didn't think about it that way, but I hadn't. I just couldn't get my head around it. Because for me, democracy, of course, is a social structure that is about freedom for everybody. But of course, Peter Thiel and other billionaires, to Noah's point, just don't think about other people. They think about their own sense of freedom, their own sense of like, I can do anything. And that goes back to that what was it? Bad Blood? The movie
There will be blood. Yeah.
There will be blood.
Impunity, like no limits, no restrictions. I was thinking about the scene in the article that Tom described where Noah goes to Bezos and like has this moment of misconnection. He's trying to say, oh, my wife broke her wrist, slipping on your fancy grass, but like your medics were really helpful. And Bezos gets whisked away before having a real interaction. And it made me think of AI and the sort of like friction removal that AI offers as, that's sort of the common person's glimpse of what it might be like to be rich. Or to be ultra uber rich. I have a friend who tried to call his boss, recently because he had got locked out of his office and the oven was on. So he had to get into the office. So he called the CEO and he actually got an AI screener that was like, oh, tell me what your call's about. And the person will call you back if they're available. So it was the first instance I've heard of just the CEO is not an uber wealthy person, but they have this little screener now that's like, you don't have to just take calls from anybody. Let us package it up for you. Remove that friction of the unexpected call and let you decide whether to call back. I see this as a glimpse of, we could all get some of that Bezos disconnection from the uncomfortable friction of reality, just using agents.
God, you just gave me another thing to worry about with AI.
Sorry, guys. That is our podcast, though.
Yeah, that's true. True to our word.
Topic?
So is that a good segue to the second topic?
Yeah, it is. It is because we're doing it. Second topic is Alex Karp's new manifesto. So for those who don't know Alex Karp, head of Palantir, the data intelligence corporation that is like the thing most like, what is that Steven Spielberg movie with the Minority Report or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's how if I see 2 digits of your license plate and I, can figure out what you got at McDonald's last week or something. They put it all together over there at Palantir, and they are, they're doing the surveillance state. So Alex Karp is the head of that, founder of Palantir, and
with Peter Thiel.
With Peter Thiel, and so they're in that same club, and Alex Karp has written a book called The Technological Republic. And then, since maybe people wouldn't take the time to read the whole book, he made a tweet of 22 bullet points that summarizes the book. So that's the manifesto that we're going to talk about, these 22 bullet points. I will not read it in detail, but I'll say, some of the themes that came up for me were like, hey guys, it's time to toughen up. It's time to embrace national cultures, not pretend to have this pluralistic, everybody's good, naive view of things. It's time to arm ourselves and build weapons using AI. It's not time to wait because our enemies won't wait. It's time to make it more attractive to work in government, meaning higher paid and less scrutiny. Like he spends quite a lot of time talking about how people are driven away from public service because it's such a bad job. You have so many limits. You can't make money. You have people looking into what you're doing. That all seems to annoy him in this manifesto. And last, he says a few things that are kind of, I took as like giving us permission. He's like, America, by the way, has done so much good. We've kept the world peaceful for decades. We've advanced progressive values more than anyone. I sort of think he's saying, all right, we've done our good stuff. We can do some bad stuff now. Like, that's what I saw in those points.
Oh my God.
So
Hey,
that's my springboard. Let's go.
well, every time I talk about Palantir, I just have to say one thing that, just to set the tone, and I probably have even said this on this podcast before, but I'm going to say it again. Don't stop me, which is that, like, just as a lot of the terrible people that we talked about already today, like watched Star Wars and, like sided with the Empire instead of the Jedi, like Alex Karp and Peter Thiel watched, like, or read The Lord of the Rings, and they sided with the bad guys. They sided with Sauron. Like, like the Palantir is the tool, the globe that the bad guys looked into to control everything and to be bad. It was like an evil tool. And so these guys literally built a company calling it like an evil tool. Seems to be their goal. They got the wrong, they took the wrong thing away from the show, the tale, which is, it's hard to do, but they did it, so that's really scary. I think
it's not a subtle series of books, really, when it comes to that thing. It's kind of funny.
I mean, it's not. Isn't he just like straight up, this is a straight up Jesus story, right?
Yeah, it's very religious and very good versus evil.
Yeah. So to be like, let's be evil, which is, Jake, what you just said, he actually comes out with at the end.
Well, I'm calling it evil. I mean, he's calling it like, I think he's saying, let's be real, folks. Let's be real about there's good and bad. Like he's setting it up in the frame of, that it's not the naive pluralism. I think he uses something like hollow pluralism as like one of the last bullets, right?
So he's setting it up as us versus them. They're bad, like they're worse than us. So let's destroy them with our evil tools. Now, listen, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to actually take something positive from this manifesto. It's a very slim pickings here. So here's what I've got. Alex Karp, by writing this book and also by putting out this manifesto on Twitter, which was roundly made fun of, is still trying to communicate with average people. Like he's actually trying to he's like trying to be a politician in a certain way. He's trying to convince us that we're on the right side as Americans, and we're going to have to too bad, we're going to have to destroy other civilizations and all that. But it's still got that kind of earnestness that is surprising to me. And I mean, I don't want to give him too much credit because he is terrible. But
that's interesting. That makes me wonder. Well, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
It just makes me wonder. Like I don't think Bezos is trying to convince any American of anything.
That's really interesting.
Nor is, at this point, Trump.
I agree.
Nor is Elon. Like none of them give a shit anymore.
I interpreted this manifesto as
Tom's
one
about
part.
to say something, but it's frozen for me.
Oh, sorry. What should I do about that?
Tom, can you try that again? Because we lost you for a second, but I want you to.
I interpreted it as one part a sales pitch. This thing, like, believe in us and what my company or brainiacs like me can do. Which is like what you're saying, Kathy. It's if you're making a sales pitch, it's like you need the other people to believe you. You're trying to convince people, which must mean that he thinks that there's something he needs from other people.
It's
their purchase in some way.
I think he's talking about sort of a merging of government and Silicon Valley, but particularly his business. And I was wondering what direction he sees that happening. The way that I read the points that are like, people have been driven away from public service because it's underpaid. They're driven away from public service because it's too scrutinized. It's too safe. Like he's saying, we need more tech genius, billionaires like me doing government service type work. In fact, one of the bullet points is even Silicon Valley needs to take on violent crime. Like he's creating a space for what's currently private tech to take on issues of big public importance in a big way, getting big salaries and having no oversight. And that could either look like government privatizing a lot more of its operations and handing that stuff over to Palantir, or maybe just Palantir becoming the government, or instead of having an FBI, we just have Palantir or something. I don't know
what he's selling. Yeah, it's hard to
he's
sell.
selling.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Palantir make absolutely crazy amounts of money with contracts with the government?
Government
already?
contracts.
Not
Yeah.
enough. Like they would like to do even more. They're feeling like hey, there's so much more we could do here. We could just stamp out.
You could just take over the FBI itself.
I think that's what he's setting up. But and like for he does have to pitch that. He can't just do that. Like he has to convince
like
that.
I wouldn't say that I knew what he was selling, but he's definitely selling, which is, to me, as people who have to sell our products as well, there's a element of desperation in selling. You have to convince other people, please like my product, which is odd in that. The other piece,
also you have to convince people that they need your product,
right?
So that's certainly an element of his manifesto. Like, be afraid, they're coming to get us. We need to be prepared. Blah blah blah. It's like the same scare tactics that everybody's always used.
The other thing that I thought was interesting is like, it's a bunch of straw men and inconsistent points. Like, America has made extraordinarily long peace possible, but we also have to undo the neutering of Germany and Japan. Well, those things went together along with a whole bunch of the other points. Like, that's how it happened, dude. That's part of the American process over the last 100 years, is enforcing things like that.
It does make me think back to, I don't know, 8 years ago, back when like even Mark Zuckerberg wanted to be liked by people. And it seems so far ago.
So I guess Karp still wants to be liked by people, maybe.
He still wants to be admired and trusted by people. And that's the only thing we have right now, guys.
What, not exactly on our radar screen for this, but Thiel's whole thing about the Antichrist or whatever, that him losing his mind doing the lectures in Italy and wherever else. There's something so bizarre about that. Is that also him trying to be liked? I don't know. It's a little off topic, but
I watched some of those interviews. I think it's pretty unhinged. It's like religious fundamentalist, like it's.
I actually don't think he believes any of that. I think that was his appeal to religious fundamentalists. I think he's
he's trying to be liked in somehow.
He's trying to get influence in the world of religious leaders.
Weird.
I'll just to finish this topic, because I know we have to move on to the third interesting topic. Never mind. I lost it. Let's move on to the third topic, Tom. What do you got?
Sure. It was in the news this week that Sullivan Cromwell, one of the most prestigious law firms in the U.S., submitted filings in a court case that included AI hallucinations, basically citations to real cases that included fabricated quotes of the case law that they were citing. And they got busted by the opposing firm in the case and had to confess to the court and ultimately, therefore, to the world that they failed in submitting this, which is a pretty significant breach. Part of their failure was that they had implemented careful rules about how AI should be used and how it should be checked with human oversight and so forth, and it just didn't happen. And so the improper quotations from the cases slipped through, and they had to withdraw the filings and let the court know. And what comes from that? Who knows? Sanctions would be a normal thing if you basically tried to mislead the court and your opponents. You would be exposed to possible sanctions by the court or brought by the other lawyers, the opposing lawyers. Disbarment is possible. There have been cases for small law firms that have done this, being brought up on potential disbarment charges. And, who knows what they were charging as their legal fees for the work that was being done by AI. Were they recording it as lawyers' hours or AI hours? TBD. Anyhow, it's mind-blowing to me that this is still happening. That a product
it's like months or even years since we had the first story in New York of a lawyer turning in a brief that had some hallucinations in it, right? And the lawyer, I don't remember the exact punishment they got, but they got punished, right?
They did. I remember I was talking about one that was like a case of first impression, and the judge went kind of easy on him. But there have been dozens of these cases over the past 5 years, dozens of this happening. And so people are getting sanctioned and disbarred and suspended for
What's
this
the
type
scope
of thing.
It? There's like one lawyer. Is it the lawyer whose name? I don't even know how it works with briefs. There's one lawyer's name on it, and that's the lawyer who's really at risk if that brief has hallucinations, or is the whole firm potentially at risk?
For disciplinary proceedings, the lawyer who submitted it, he submitted a certification that with the filing that what the filing said was true. So he's personally exposed. It could be more than one lawyer. Frequently, it's several. But the firm could be exposed to, definitely.
So one of the things I find interesting about this is, and it's about exposure and accountability. Like in the world of lawyering, which I don't know anybody who hasn't used ChatGPT for law questions, who's interested in law questions. Like it is an absolutely obvious thing to try, and it does find, and there are other tools that are better than ChatGPT, right? There's legal, like specifically made for legal question type tools that are really, really good at looking at case law related to a particular question. But it's also like very, very clear that it is ultimately a lawyer's job, not just to do that, but to check it and to check the quotes. And like it is their responsibility to use it well. Even if it's very helpful, you can't rely on it. It has to be sort of like a first stab at something, and then your job is to go check it. So that's like pretty clear, I think, legally. But then we've also, Tom and Jake, have talked about a different chatbot that is now giving out medical information. And I doubt, I'm just going to throw that out there, I doubt it's going to be like, I doubt it's going to play out similarly. I doubt that that a chatbot giving medical information, right? Not medical advice, just like ChatGPT would never say this is legal advice. It's just legal information, right? So it's not supposed to be like, I'm a lawyer, here's the law, right? It's supposed to, or I'm a doctor, here's your prescription or diagnosis. It's just supposed to be medical information, but I really don't think it's going to end up the same way. In other words, I feel like when people like learn about medical information, that's wrong. And then they follow that medical information as if it were advice, and then they get sick or die or something. I feel like it's not going to be their fault legally. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
It's not oppositional. There's no one on the other side, like there is in a court filing, to expose it, to say, oh, by the way, you did something wrong here. Not to mention that there's no judge, but there's no opponent in bad medical advice. I guess the opponent is the cemetery or the hospital. Right.
There's no moment when you have to certify that this was actually medical advice and we followed it. Like people are just going to go off on their own and drink poison, and then they're going to be dead. And like, it's because ChatGPT told them to do it, or whatever the AI tool is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When the lawyers take dumb legal information and put it in a court filing, then they're certifying this is legal advice at this point. But when it's just coming out of the computer, it's not. Yeah.
Likewise, Tom, like the ChatGPT,
we don't have a real venue.
The judge in those cases isn't mad at ChatGPT, right? Like Sullivan and Cromwell can't countersue ChatGPT for the bad information.
Yeah.
Like, that's my point. My point is that like legal information is what it is and everybody should be aware. But like medical information, I feel like the chatbots are going to be sued for bad medical information.
Yeah. They don't have a buffer in that case.
But you
I
think they're
agree.
going to get out, Kath? You think they're going to beat those lawsuits?
No, I think they're going to lose those lawsuits. I think they're going to, I'm just saying like at first glance, it looks analogous, like medical advice, legal advice. In both cases, you have professional guilds that have to have training and certificates and blah, 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 right? So you'd think that it would be similar kind of accountability. You know, like let me put it this way. If I'm a general counsel for a chatbot, if I'm a lawyer who works at a chatbot company and I'm like, well, people are doing legal information, so I don't see why we can't do medical information. I could see the thinking behind that, but I think that guy's going to lose his job like pretty soon because it's different.
It'll be replaced by AI anyhow, so it's okay.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. All the legal counsels at chatbot companies are probably at this point chatbots. They grow their own.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I mean, another article that we saw in this week was about medical chatbots doing medical stuff, but it is in the official medical venue. So there was an article in the Wall Street Journal. We'll put it in the comments, but it talked about a pilot going on right now in the state of Utah, where in order to renew certain common prescriptions, usually that involves a call to or visit to an actual doctor who asks you some pretty standard questions and then renews your albuterol inhaler or, maintenance medication. They're piloting doing that with AI. So you talk to an AI chatbot doctor who goes through a similar list of questions and then can issue a prescription at the end. And the article was just talking about how this is high stakes. Are there enough guardrails? Are there enough accountability mechanisms in there? It's not that there's been a screw up already. And
I think it was mostly to renew prescriptions, Jake, not to.
Yep. To renew. Only to renew.
And also they have a bunch of high risk prescriptions that they will not allow you to do. So they're not like opioids is not, you can't renew. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there are guardrails around the pilot, but even so, I think it's a good environment where there is a notion of malpractice. Like if the AI screws up badly, refills a prescription and someone gets hurt, then this has happened in the context of a medical, like a doctor visit. They're just saying it's an AI doctor. So let's keep an eye on it.
The article I read on it, JAMA, I think, had an article on it, said that there is some form of medical malpractice for the bot. But also in the, whatever it is, the agreement that the patient enters into, they basically disclaim any liability to the bot company, which seems inconsistent. I don't know that would necessarily be enforceable. The, tiny print, 1,000-page disclaimer, probably not generally enforceable. But the fact that they're making this thing Doctronic or whatever it is get malpractice insurance is better, moderately better than expected.
Really better. It's like that legal counsel thought about it a little bit before saying just do this. I keep coming up to like you're giving free medical information to whoever asks. The scale of the lawsuits that could be coming for that is crazy.
I also was thinking, like, what problem is this solving? Is renewing prescriptions really an issue that needs to be solved?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not.
In the sense that they want to
that
optimize billing, and if they can get that off the plate of doctors and just have much more profitable things happen for doctors, and it is. I just want to finish. I know we're almost over time, but I just want to mention like my favorite story from this week that has nothing to do with AI, which was like this insurance scam where these folks actually dressed up as bears and attacked their own car. And it's just that's the whole story. It's just wonderful. Because I love the idea. Like we think about insurance all the time. We think about claims, and then we're looking into fraud alerts on insurance claims.
Yeah, it's always like, what did the algorithm do wrong? But here's people in a bear suit. So
people in a bear suit, like good for them.
I want to add 2 pieces of color from the bear suit article. One is that they use these meat, like to represent the claws of the bear. They use like some meat claws that's used for tearing up meat. They had a picture of it in the article. It's great. The second thing is really a question. The article said that they were tearing up the leather inside of a Rolls Royce to make like a very fancy, like a high price insurance claim. And it occurred to me of like, first of all, you already have access to a Rolls Royce. Like, why do you need to commit insurance fraud? Second of all, like, how much could you really gain? How much money could you get tearing up your own leather in your own Rolls Royce? I mean, maybe it was stolen. Whatever it was just like...
It was my favorite article this week, so I'm glad we got to mention it. And we are overtime officially, but we hope you've enjoyed your commute. And thank you for joining us in the AI podcast. AI
Thanks,
Skeptic
Tom, for
podcast.
coming.
Yeah,
we'll
thank
see you next time. All right.
See ya.